This is my number one best weight loss tip of the entire year. And some of you might say this is just too simple. So I'm going to give it to you in a couple different ways. And then I'm going to just explain why this is so important. All right, here we go. Only eat when you are hungry. And let me give it to you in another way so you really get this. Don't eat until you're hungry. Do you realize how many people eat not because they're hungry? They're sad, or maybe they're tired and they want to get more energy. Many people eat for emotional reasons, and this really gets them into trouble. They're not listening to what their body's telling them. I know there's a lot of pleasure with eating foods, but there's actually more pleasure waiting till you're hungry and then satisfying that hunger with a good meal versus just eating food when you're not hungry. And on top of that, even when we're full, we keep eating. It's like, how much food can I stuff down the pie hole? What we've been doing is training our bodies to associate food with stress relief, food with happiness, food with a lot of pleasure, to the point where we're constantly bloated. People wonder why we're on antacids, pills for bloating. There's just no more space in our digestive system. Also think about what this does to your microbes. It's overwhelming the microbes. They have to work twice as hard. Same with your liver and your pancreas and your gallbladder and your stomach. They have to work overtime. So a lot of people are in a situation where their food is controlling them. My whole goal has been to get people more in control over their body and food especially. What is the big problem of eating when we're not hungry? The big thing is you're just raising insulin. Insulin is a very important hormone to understand. It's the hormone that causes fat storage. It's a hormone that also removes sugar from your blood. And the problem with jacking up insulin so many times is you start to develop a protective mechanism called insulin resistance. And now insulin doesn't work like it used to. This is why 80% of the population, maybe more, has insulin resistance that rarely do the doctors ever test for. And of course, this leads to more hunger because eating increases hunger because of the spike of insulin. The excess food has to be converted into fat around your midsection and your liver. And then when that's filled up, it goes throughout the organs called visceral fat. And you can tell if someone has that just by looking down to see if you can see your shoes. And then that turns into diabetes and high blood pressure. And as a side note, the worst thing to say is, what is my body in the mood for tonight? It's like asking a hungry 2-year-old, what do you want to eat? And you have them in the grocery store, right? They're going to pick the junkiest sugar-filled food that they can find. The body is very rudimentary and it doesn't necessarily differentiate healthy food from unhealthy food. You're going to have to do that. When the body is out of balance and the blood sugars are low, the body's not going to demand some healthy food. By only eating when you're hungry, let your body tell you how long to fast, because I don't think a lot of people appreciate what happens when you're fasting. You are literally burning your own fat. You're living off your own fuel. So you are eating when you are not eating, but you're eating your own fat. A lot of other positive things are happening. Your brain cells are growing more. Your mood will be elevated. Your cognitive function will go up. Your inflammation goes down. The other really cool thing about this is that you are going to develop a lot more self-control. It's called willpower. How do you get willpower? It's like a muscle. You have to practice it. Avoid food until you're hungry. Let's do the flip side of this. When you eat food, let's say you ate an unhealthy meal. Food companies have created something called the bliss point. What's a bliss point? Your peak joy, your peak happiness. This is what junk food is designed to do. And the food companies have spent billions to achieve this perfect ratio of sugar, salt, and fat to create this maximum dopamine rush in your brain, which is like pure pleasure. Even the flavor chemicals have all sorts of other things as well to do things to trick your mind, because this is where it's happening. It's not happening in your mouth. It's happening in your brain. Now, this is only half the story. The other thing they do is they spend millions and millions of dollars on how to create this perfect mouthfeel, the texture in your mouth. That's huge. The sugar increases sweetness and stimulates dopamine. The salt gives more flavor enhancement. The starches, and I'm talking about modified food starch, modified cornstarch, maltodextrin, that's only there to give the mouthfeel. And this is why I created this app right here, which I will put a link down below, which allows you to scan, food like this, to be able to quickly identify the 3 ingredients that are in 90% of all junk food: sugar, starches, and seed oils. Those 3 ingredients make up the majority of junk food. The app is cool because it allows you to quickly scan and identify how much sugar and hidden sugar and seed oil is in a food. There's one thing that is not in these junk foods, okay? They don't have protein. Now, what happens when you don't put protein and you give all these other ingredients it's going to cause you to keep wanting to eat something because there's a phenomena of protein being the most satisfying thing you can eat. If there's no protein in there, you'll never be satisfied. In fact, an insect, an animal, and even a human will keep eating until they satisfy their protein requirements. The other thing that's missing in here is the nutrients. If you take a food and it's empty with nutrients, you're also never going to satisfy someone. If you just eat when you're hungry, and then the foods that you eat are nutrient dense, high quality protein will be the most important thing to focus on to satisfy you, to also help give your body what it really needs, which is nutrients and protein. The two things that are missing from this right here. The food companies came up with this slogan, everything in moderation. No, because a little bit of this is going to cause you to be hungry an hour and a half later. Another one they came up with is there is no bad food. That's another lie. There are foods that are really bad. Let me just mention hunger for a second, because we really have to be in tune with our stomach and the rest of the body through the day. That's called being in the present. Being sad, having anxiety, being bored is not being hungry. That's completely different. Hunger is kind of a hollowing feeling in your digestive system, in your stomach or your abdomen. Maybe you even have some type of hunger pains or even feel lightheaded. I don't want you to get to that point. I wouldn't recommend waiting till your body is irritable before you eat because your blood sugar's crashed or you have some type of mental change. I don't recommend you wait till that happens. I also don't recommend waiting until your energy completely crashes. We're not trying to get you to the point where you're starving. You just want to wait until you hit the point where you actually experience the sensation of hunger, okay? And I think most people know what that means. And then you're going to eat, and then you're going to actually stop when you're full and not keep going until you're stuffed. But to do that, you're going to have to really be in the present and be in tune with your body. Of course, sometimes you're going to have to eat before you go somewhere. The real problem is the mindless eating, snacking between meals. A lot of people just skip their breakfast and go right to lunch and just do 2 meals. I think that's perfect. Sometimes I like to rotate it and have a breakfast and a lunch and then not have any dinner. And even right now, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have not eaten anything today. And I'm not even hungry. I'll probably get hungry around 4 or 5 and I'll have my 1 meal a day. I usually do that in the winter. And then the rest of the year, I might do 2 meals a day depending on my activity level because I don't really need as many calories because it's freaking cold outside and I'm not doing as much physical activity to burn up those calories. A couple tips that you want to add to this: stay really busy through the day. Make sure your environment supports you so you're not tempted so much. Realize when you're not eating, you're actually eating your own fat. So you are getting fuel. Basically, I'm trying to change the reason why you eat because far too many people eat out of boredom, stress, fatigue, and some other emotional reason. Putting you in control of your own food is going to be huge. It's going to increase your willpower. It's going to increase your ability to stick to something, which is called self-control. Go ahead and try this and then comment down below how it worked for you.